Welcome back to the Eric Krown Crypto Channel. Wishing you a happy Northern start to this Saturday morning over here from a very bright and sunny Dubai. Man, it still takes some time to get used to that one. Elsa's laughing instead of coughing. Nope, she's coughing once again, and she's taken all of the comments to heart. Like, for the love of God, Jesus Christ, I have to tell her, please stop reading the damn comments, because some of you guys need Jesus, and some of you guys, I don't know what it is, but red pill, it's not good for your soul. I'm telling you that right now, because there's a very strong statistic that everyone should be aware of. It's a very, very strong statistic, actually. I learned this one from Chris Williamson, which is this: that 50% of men below the age of like 30, between like 18 and 30, or maybe it's up to 35 as well, have literally not had sex in the last year. All I'm saying is the red pill shit, it's not working. Anyways, apologies, Kate. I'm just making a bad attempt at humor. I wanted to follow up on the short-term time frame analysis that we had from yesterday. Obviously, Bitcoin did take the upside trajectory and setups that we were looking for, which was nice. And what that means for the more medium term, hint, hint, over the weekend, I usually don't have like super strong opinions on price action. And then there actually is one major thing on the higher term time frames that is new that we can speak about. And I suspect that we can just jump right into it right here, right now. So first things first, I want to start off with a follow-up of yesterday's short-term time frame setup. This was on the hourly HPDR indicator, giving us a bias towards upside price action. Let me just pull back into the exact chart that we were using. The setup was this: Bitcoin on the hourly closing below, well, the blank portion of this chart because it's not fucking loading, but Bitcoin closing below the bottom side of the blue 50% of historical returns range low. So that started over here, coupled with a decline in volatility, which started right here, initiates this setup, which has a higher probability of an upside, of which we reference these statistics and data, which out of 50 iterations, 36 did play out to the upside fashion, giving it about 72% strike rate. So in this case, rather high probability, with an average return of about 220 on the direct average, and on the top side of the first standard deviation at about 339. Obviously, both those were hit from that setup given. 220 was hit, actually pretty much right on the dot at about the 10-hour mark, which was kind of nice. Even the upper end of that basically got the current range highs as well. So ultimately, the hourly played out. There's not really much else to say about it other than that. And now we can go and reference something that I think is a little more important for the near term. So in this case, we can see that on the short-term time frames, this being the hourly, HPDR indicator is going to give us, range highs, range lows. So we could use these as continuation upon validation above or below these regions. Can go up or down. We'll come up with some things to come up with a little bit of a higher probability, or a little bit of a bias there. But again, it's weekend. I really don't have strong opinions on the very, very short term. My strong opinion is on the higher term timeframes. Anyways, top side of the range, still about $25,000, a little bit above there to be fair. And bottom side of the range, currently at about 24.4. I would feel a lot more confident that if Bitcoin were to come back down and close an hourly below about 24.4, that we will see an extended pullback from there into the very, very low 24s, maybe even upper 23s. And from there, I'd want to come back to it. But for right now, Bitcoin closing the week strong on CME, so I look at that as a generally good signal for the for the next week or two to come. But in the short term, that doesn't really mean all that much. On the 4-hour time frame, it would suggest on the 4-hour HPDR that yes, HPDR. Too many damn letters. Like, we got LGBTQ and BTC and ETH and HPDR, and it's like, what the fuck is going on here, man? Stop with the damn acronyms. Just say them all out loud. Anyways, no one even knows what all of them mean to begin with. Anyways, in this case, we can see the median of the range currently coming in about 24,750. I wouldn't really put too much weight on that, being that it is a weekend. What I would put a lot of weight on, if we're going to see another extension, a decent sized extension on this move, would be if Bitcoin closes basically above our current high, even on a 4-hour time frame, which is about 25,300. Technically speaking, the current range high here would be about 25,400, and at that point, I'd be looking for likely another $1,000 move, somewhere around 20, low 26, mid 26, something like that. Until then, again, no real major strong opinions on price action. Daily, same thing. We got the median of the range coming in right around about 25. So if you see a closure above there, probably looking at a next extension somewhere somewhere into like the mid 26s over time. Maybe not on the same day, maybe not in a straight line, but ultimately somewhere around there. What I do want to address, however, was what was a concept that we spoke about at the beginning of this week, or sorry, not the beginning of this week, but after Bitcoin hit 25,000 bucks, we said, hey, watch the HPDR indicator. If you see the blue ranges here, the 50% returns range start to march its way up, that's going to be a good sign overall for, more tries hard. And that's kind of what we got thus far. And well, so far, so good. Anyways, moving on now, we can get into, short-term time frame stochastic momentum, just see if there's anything, that can help formulate a bias here. Hourly will actually be turning back up if Bitcoin closes above 24,750. So right now it's below there by about $100, which is, fair enough. As long as Bitcoin's below there, short term probably consolidates, maybe pulls back a little bit. 4-hour time frame is also going to be turning down. Will actually be remaining with upside momentum as long as Bitcoin's above 24,350. So again, we do see that that number at around 24,400 kind of come into the topic of conversation yet again. If you do see a closure below there, that's where I'd really start to be looking for a weekend pullback. Moving into the 6-hour, we can see that it is also up as well, as long as Bitcoin's above about 23,930, and 12-hour time frame is going to be also up as long as Bitcoin's above 24,690, which actually right now it's below by about $40. And daily is also vertical, very erect, as long as Bitcoin's above 21,900 or so. So that's not really helping, honestly. Basically, I'd just be going off of range resolutions if I really was inclined to trade the weekend, which I'm not. In fact, I turn off all my stuff on the weekend. Anyways, moving on to some new information, something completely new over here, which I haven't spoken about at all, which is the 3-day time frame. The 3-day time frame did experience a silver cross. This was about the same time that we saw the daily on CME have that 21 and 200 cross. Both of these I do really, really like. I always get a lot of hate whenever I talk about moving average crosses, because people think that like you just buy when it crosses and then sell when it crosses. Like, obviously fucking not. That doesn't work. Like, duh. If it worked, everyone would put a bond on it and we all be fucking billionaire, quadrillionaire, trillionaires, and obviously we're not. But in this case, it gives a good means of identification of trend, and it also gives us a pivot as to which, on the higher term time frames, I would actually start to look at this as a major trap. Now, it's quite far away at about 21,500. But hey, if Bitcoin does start to go back down below this region, basically the last higher low, that's at the point where I'd be looking for retests probably somewhere around 18 or so. Until that happens, I'm going to be, generally speaking, higher term time frame looking for up and to the right, with stops along the way. Again, it's not going to be a straight line. But what I wanted to do here is I wanted to do a statistical analysis of all of the upside crosses that we've seen throughout the history of Bitcoin on this time frame, the 3-day time frame, of which there have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 prior crosses. So not a whole hell of a lot of other prior iterations, but they pretty much always come alongside, humongous rallies. For example, we have this one over here. And I'm actually going to be, for the purposes of this, of the data I'm about to show over here, I'm going to be measuring it in like the worst way possible. So this is like playing it the most, I almost said the R word, but maybe it's like the scientific R word, to like hold back. But like the worst possible way to play it, which is like, okay, it crossed. Let's just long exactly at the closure of that dildo. And even in this case, you can see that it did pull down. Yes, that would probably be the better place to actually be aiming for. But ultimately marched on towards new major highs in this case. For about a 56% move. I did the same thing over here. You're probably wondering why didn't you extend that all the way out? I just wanted to extend it towards the first high of the next major rally. So same thing over here. In this case, we do have what I would consider a failure, albeit Bitcoin did trade up about 15.5% to the upside regardless. And then same thing over here, so on and so forth. You get the idea. So I'll show you the stats that we've seen on all of them, and I found that out of the 8 prior iterations, 5 of them were like humongously major new trending moves, moves towards new all-time highs, basically. So that means that 3 of them were basically failures. Now, even on the failures, one of them was a double-digit move. One of them was basically like no move, and the other, and one of them was a single-digit loss. percentage-wise. So in this case, that does give it a rather high strike rate. Actually, did not calculate the strike rate right here, so that this is not accurate. But 5 out of 8, it's like, I don't know, better than 50%. Anyways, moving on. What I really want to focus on right here is, okay, so what would be a good way to filter through the data to see that this particular one is more likely to be one of those major trending ones, where we've seen an average return, by the way, of 56% over the course of about 64 days. Again, for that first major move, obviously things, typically do continue onwards and forwards from there. And how could we separate that from the potential failure ones? So the way that I did this is I kind of separated things by, well, is it trending or a trap? It's like T or T. We like our T's. Titties and testosterone as well. But yeah, looking at it right here, you can see very clearly that on the traps, 3 of them, the 3 that we had took a lot less amount of days compared to the ones that were not traps over here. So in this case, the longest one that we saw that turned into a trap was about 24 days from the cross given. So again, going back into it over here. Yes, there we go. We can see that thus far there's been about 9 days. So already it has taken more days than, well, the worst one, which was like a literal trap where the return was actually negative. All the other ones were positive, even if they were small. But after that, 15 days and 24 days. So, if Bitcoin basically doesn't shit the bed below about 21.5 within the next, let's say, a couple weeks, I'd say very likely we're going to see another one of these major trending moves, and you're probably going to see, you're probably going to see a big move. That's what I'm trying to say. To be fair, even if we look at percentage gain and loss, the current move has already outweighed all of the prior traps. So is it likely to be a trap? I mean, if you just based off of that, the current return is about almost 19%. I'd say, I guess it's less likely, but I'd still like to see the days transpire as well. In that case, again, if we reference the average returns over here, we'd be looking, somewhere around like 50%. Yeah, the first standard deviation does have a decent amount of variance in there, given a range between about 36 all the way up to 86. But again, we're talking about very, very high term timeframes here, and we're talking about like the next 2 months of price action, basically. But just play around with the numbers, and again, I'm sure I'll get a lot of hate for this as well. But let's say that Bitcoin does trade up 50% between now and, okay, I need to count my months because I'm American. I don't know these things. March, April. So like end of April, beginning of May. And yeah, 50% would actually put you around the 200 simple on the 3-day time frame, basically also around the high of this prior consolidation that we saw before last May breakdown. Yeah, fair enough. Sure, that doesn't sound like super unreasonable in that time frame, I would say. Anyways, the other major thing that I want to focus on yet again would be the 5-day Gaussian channel over here. This is not going to be super relevant tonight. It's going to be relevant tomorrow night because we're going to see a closure. But the question is, does Bitcoin close above the median band of it? If it does, rally very likely continues into the next few weeks and probably targets the top side of the Gaussian channel. At least that's what we've seen every other time in history where Bitcoin's crawled its way back into the bottom side of the Gaussian channel while it was red. It typically gets a free ride to the top side. In many cases, just busts on through. You can see the same thing over here. You can see the same thing over here. This one did get rejected at first at the median and did retest the lows, by the way. So if I am going to be bearish, or sorry, what would make me bearish here would be a rejection here. Like, it's not going to happen on this next one, by the way, and then come back down below the current low, 21.5. At that point, yeah, probably looking at another move back down to the upper teens. Until then, I'm just waiting for a closure above this region as sort of, a likely indication that Bitcoin's going to be moving up and to the right over the next few weeks. Top side of the Gaussian channel would be just above 28,000 bucks at current moment. Obviously, that's moving down though over time, so it probably moves its way into the 27s over the next couple weeks. So yeah, I think that's a good place for me to be leaving off on this particular video. A little bit longer than what I did expect, but all good, man, all good, or at least hopefully. Want to once again show Bybit. They got 0% on maker fees for derivative contract orders, quite valuable for more active traders, which is why I kind of pimped that one, because I think it actually is, a good promotion. Obviously, you make the decision for yourself if that's relevant to you or not. Like if maybe it's not even available to you. Of course, there's a lot of fine print with it. Check it out on Bybit for the full information there. And other than that, I want to be wishing you the best as always. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully soon.